So much for staying with us. It's still the Breakfast Show on Ghana Television. Time now to get into our very first discussion for today. That's the need for sustainable development of the built environment in Ghana. You know that in a world with increasing trends in water and energy use, consumption of goods and finite resources, environmental degradation as a result of unscrupulous human activities, there is the need for more creative ways of integrating environmental, economic and social goals, because these, we have several of them that we want to achieve, but how do we really make sure that we are doing all of these things in a very sustainable way? The task ahead is to design a very sustainable future that mutually achieves environmental protection, prosperity and improved quality of life through innovative science, technology and policies. And one of the ways that has been found very helpful is to have the sustainability of the built environment. We'll be getting more details on what that really is. And I have with me here the Professor Chris Gordon of the University of Ghana. He's actually the director of the Institute for Environment and Sanitation Studies. And then also we have Mr. Foster Osei Akonor. He's the CEO of the Ghana Green Build Council. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much.
Thank
you for having us.
It's a pleasure. So what is it when we talk about sustainable built environment?
Well, I'll start off by saying that the projection is that by 2050, almost 70% of the world's population will live in cities. Yes.
My village will turn into a city?
Well, it might not turn into a city, but we do know that already Ghana is no longer a rural country. There are more people living in urban centers, that is population above 5,000 than not.
Okay.
I think it's 5149 now. So when you're talking about the built environment, you're talking about all that infrastructure that goes to make an urban community.
Okay.
That is the roads, the drainage, the hospital, school network, all those things which basically are constructed by man to create a space for them to live. So we do have a built environment also in the rural, but because the move is towards urbanization and cities, we are going to concentrate today more on the town and city rather than the rural.
Interesting. And so, Mr. Akonor, what is the sustainability aspect of it? What are we talking about?
Well, we're thinking of using, or we have to use resources wisely for that will meet the needs of the present generation without compromising the needs of the future generations. And this can be done through buildings. Okay. Because we know that our research has shown, and there are case studies the world over, that buildings during its construction and even usage uses about 30 to 40% of energy. There's also a lot of waste when it comes to construction. Water is a key factor. Materials for construction is one aspect of it. So to come up with strategies, to come up with innovative ways as to how best we can conserve these resources is what we are looking at.
Right. What are some of the activities that affect this built environment?
Okay, well, let's take the very contentious issue of green spaces.
Okay.
You see, in every well-planned city, and I would include Accra as a well-planned city.
Okay.
There are green areas, parklands, areas where you have tree cover, which provide the lungs of the city. I say Ghana has a good plan because if you go to the plans, you see all the green belts marked.
Wow.
But right now,
in
reality, all those green belts have been redesignated as either industrial or residential properties. But to the actual activities that can be done, we're talking about things like, how does the transport system work? Every urban city setting needs to move people and goods. And if you do not have an efficient transport system, which in itself may be tied to other aspects of how the city works, you have problems. I would like to just emphasize the point that was made by Foster here is that it's about stewardship. We are doing things in a way that are going to compromise the ability of our children to survive, because we're using resources in a very wasteful manner. So if you're going along the path of sustainability, or what we now talk about low carbon growth or green growth, we have to do things in a more appropriate manner in which we have systems which reinforce the sustainability rather than go against it. And may I give you an example?
Sure.
On Tuesday, I was coming back from Cape Coast, and we had the toll booth at Weja for almost 45 minutes. The reason being they were desilting gutters. So you have only one lane left. But as I looked at what they were desilting, they were removing trees. Now, how long does it take a tree to grow in a gutter? That means this has not been desilted for years.
Right.
Now, if you look at the number of people sitting in traffic, inhaling the fumes, at least 4 mile tailback, what is the cost in terms of fuel, in terms of cost of our health, in terms of people not getting to work on time, and so forth? And all it meant was that if you desilt your gutter every year, you don't have to be pulling trees out of your gutters.
Interesting. It's true. Right. And so, Foster, what other ways can we actually injure the environment as humans?
Yeah, like I talk about what is it called, the construction activities.
Right.
When it comes to development of new communities, for instance, most developers would just bulldoze everything down and would want to start afresh. Okay. What they are doing is take off the ecological value, existing ecological value, and at the end of the day, create what is called heat islands.
What's that?
Okay. Heat islands is when you have hard surfaces and that they generate a lot of heat because the heat is not being absorbed by those surfaces.
Wow.
They just reflect. So if you have a lot of pavement in an area, you are increasing the heat in that area, and that affects the heat gain in buildings. Hence, you use a lot of energy to power your buildings. The wastage in construction. For instance, if there was going to be rehabilitation of a building, what we know and what is mostly done here is once the walls are demolished, they dump them anywhere, including waterways. Okay, and this actually pollutes the waterways and block channels, okay, which will allow the water to flow when there's rain. And this actually causes flooding, perennial flooding, and we spend so much money on a yearly basis. What we can do is, like water,
right,
for instance, to reduce flooding, we can, in communities, I mean it has to be community by community, collect the runoff when it rains. It's a lot. We can channel them into a receptacle and then reuse it. Okay, that will then reduce what goes to flood our cities. And then we also getting another use for it. Our systems can be designed so that we harvest the rainwater we get, so we don't have acute water shortage in communities, among other things. We can recycle water within our homes, within our buildings, and channel them into other uses. Energy, we can do energy mix by not concentrating on just one aspect, which is the national grid, because we always have these power outages, and it is over concentration on one source of energy. We are fortunate that now the country is thinking along the direction of renewable energy. Okay, where VACO, for instance, not VRA, for instance, now has what's it called, a plant in the northern region to generate. You see, the cost of generating that solar may be so high, but that is the initial cost. But when you run it over time, it becomes a bit cheaper, and that's what you would want to do. Those areas that require what's it called, high energy usage, you put them on the national grid, and those that require low energy usage, you put them on some of this what's it called, some of this infrastructure. And at the end of the day, it makes a lot of economic sense.
Right. Interesting. So, Prof, what else can we do in order to have that sustainable built environment, apart from what Foster has outlined?
Well, I think the fundamental issue is how we design our buildings. You find that we are doing a lot of buildings with glass.
Okay.
And that glass facade they put on it acts as a heat trap. So you find that they will spend a lot of money on the glass in the first place, then have to spend a lot of money on air conditioning to cool it, because you find that many of these buildings, you can't even open the window.
Right.
Or you can only open 1 or 2 spots in it. So when there's power outage, you can't operate. So it is a question about planning and design. We are blessed with a lot of sunlight. We have designs which can channel sunlight from the roof into the room, so you don't need to have the lights on during the day. You can have your building orientated in such a way that you use the natural wind to ventilate and cool the room. There are many ways, and these are all existing technologies.
Right.
But we seem to be following a fashion of building which is actually not suited for latitude 5, Ghana, but rather for New York. Ghana is not New York. It's not New York.
Right.
Yes. And we shouldn't try to mimic something that does not suit us.
Okay.
We should build appropriately. We don't have the sort of backup systems that they have, that if the power goes off, they have their standby. In fact, hardly does the power go off there. But some of the buildings I've been in Accra, if the power is off for 5 minutes, you can't stay. You can't stay.
Right.
But there's another aspect of the whole sustainability. Buildings can be designed in such a way that when they have no longer needed, they can be broken down into component parts that can be reused. So the window is not discarded.
Okay.
It can be used for another purpose. The walls, instead of being dumped in the waterways and watercourses to cause floods, can be used for something else. It's called what? Reuse, recycle,
conserve.
And conserve. It's a term.
Okay.
And we are not doing this at all. But I would like to also touch on one, because Ghana is unique in some ways. If you do drive along the roads, you see many piles of blocks, pillars and things by the road. These are not old buildings. These are new buildings which were not constructed properly.
Right.
So they've had to be redone. Instead of using 1 bag of cement for 20 blocks, the man is using 1 bag for 60. You can actually crumble the block in your hand. And this is going up. You find schools, apartment blocks being built with materials which are not good. And when they are found out, they have to be thrown away. That is a huge wastage.
Sure.
Because to generate to make the cement, we have to generate, we have to use power. And that means that is all wasted, the time of the artisan and so forth. So there's there are a number of very simple things that we can do, which if we consult the architects, they can assist. But I would like to touch upon one style of building which is actually very cost efficient and also very efficient in its running. This is what they call the insulated concrete form, ICF. And I believe there's a project which you are part of, which is going to do not only 900 houses, but also a community. So all those green spaces, all those issues of community water storage, renewable energy input, sustainable street lighting, and all those things have been incorporated.
But what form does it take? Is it any different from...
Well, in fact, when you see it, you will not think it's different.
Is that really?
It is not. They are panels. For instance, this whole wall will come as a complete component and installed, so you can actually move it if what's it called, the use of the building is not needed again. I mean, over time. Okay, let's say after 40 years, instead of breaking it down like the way we break the blocks, buildings, you just move it, and it is not technology that that cannot be developed here. The basic material, which in fact we are currently developing one, you need your cement and you need sawdust. Okay. Just that. And develop your panels either in wood or you can use metals to fabricate those panels, and then you cast, so it is preformed. And then you just take them to the site to assemble.
But they are not strong as the normal buildings, right?
They are very strong. You see, they are light, but very, very strong.
Wow.
So in terms of weight on the building, you don't have a lot of weight on the building, and that actually reduces the cost of the building.
And this is being used, I mean, this technology is being used somewhere else?
It's being used
for 50 years.
And it's now getting here.
Exactly. You know, in Africa, by the time things get here, like green buildings, for instance, green buildings started in the US in 1992.
What did you say? What buildings?
Green buildings.
What are those?
Yeah, buildings which are environmentally friendly. Buildings which uses resources wisely. Buildings which are energy efficient.
How do they look like?
They are ordinary buildings. They are ordinary buildings. But like I said, they are done such that you don't use a lot of energy.
Okay. So it's just about the design.
It's about the design. It's about the materials.
And the setup.
And the orientation.
For instance, just let me add to what Osei is saying. You can have two identical buildings, one built with green design, the other not. The electricity bill in one building will be 30% less than the other.
Really? It's just about the design and the setup and all of that.
Exactly. Exactly. For instance, I mean, talking about electricity, the main thing is your air conditioning load. If you are able to design to reduce the heat gain in the building, it means you wouldn't need a lot of power to cool the building.
Wow.
And hence your electricity bill will go down drastically. If you are able to design such that you conserve water by using other strategies like rain harvesting, like borehole, like recycling water, among other things. You may not depend on Ghana Water and Sewage Corporation for your water at all. And these are simple things, that it become complex if you have a complex building, but with basic buildings, and the payback is incredible.
Interesting. Great. We live along the coast, especially in these regions along the coast. Are there any activities on the coastal line that actually affect the built environment?
In fact, we have about 2 PhD students at my institute who are looking at issues along the coast like that.
Wow.
So you're talking about a thesis, but
break it down for us.
Break it down. In fact, the biggest problem that we are facing along the coast of Ghana right now is sand winning.
Okay.
This is, of course, being compounded by the whole problem of climate change.
All right.
But they say that a nation which takes sand from its own beach is reducing its own size. Yeah, we are reducing the size of Ghana.
Wow.
Every day. There's a place near Cape Coast where between 50 to 100 tipper trucks, the one they call double axle.
Okay.
The big ones.
Right.
Are collecting sand to the extent that we don't have a beach. We have a cliff.
Yeah, rocks.
Wow.
Yes. They've cleared all the sand. Now, some of that sand is being used for building. But remember, this sand is actually sand which has salt in it, which is very bad for buildings. So already that's unsustainable. But because the sand is being taken from the beach, you do not have replenishment in other places. So people have invested into hotels, tourism, and all of these things are being destroyed because of the sea erosion. In fact, it's something that I'm hoping that maybe GBC will do a feature on, because it is horrendous.
Okay.
It is horrendous in the impact. And the sad thing is, even those who are making the blocks on the beach, all of this is illegal. They are not making good quality blocks.
Right.
So you have this whole thing of the wastage again.
Interesting. And what about in the hinterlands? We also have problems with illegal mining and all of that. How do you handle those aspects?
Yeah, with the illegal mining, the activity, we all know, affects our water bodies. Okay, it means we don't have clean water, and even the process where they use chemicals affect the underground water. So this is an activity that the government would have to be strong on. Okay, they need to curb this. I mean, does it make sense to be polluting our water bodies, and you expect the inhabitants to drink that same water? You're creating health issues, among other things. No, we can do better as a country. We are so lawless, and it starts from the top. And lawlessness, you see it on the road by those who drive the big, SUVs, among other things. We have to be law-abiding citizens, and things will work better for us as a nation.
Great. And Prof, oh, sorry, you weren't done.
There are so much resources in the hinterland that if we compromise them now, we are killing the future of the country.
Thank you.
Well, I would want to disagree. Ghana is not lawless.
Really?
We have all the laws and regulations in Ghana to make our country sustainable. We are not lawless at all. The country, in fact, it has the best regulatory framework, I would say, in sub-Saharan Africa, maybe apart from South Africa. Countries come to Ghana to learn how to set up our laws. Maybe we have too many lawyers and not enough implementers.
Okay.
It is the enforcement of those laws. There's a law, the first environmental law in Ghana, which is I think the 1903 Beach and Rivers Ordinance, 1903, which prevents people from taking sand from beaches and riverbeds. It's been there for over 100 years.
but now,
so it is. We are not lawless. We
have the laws.
We don't respect.
We don't respect the laws. So that means we are not lawless.
Prof, I think.
You said Ghana. The people.
Okay.
The people.
Yes. We understand.
The people are not law abiding.
That's okay. I'll take
so
that.
It's good to put it that way. Right. So final comments on this aspect of sustainability. What are the key, issues that we should just hit on quickly?
Yeah, I think we should look at the construction industry very well.
Okay.
It involves everybody well, every stakeholder. Okay, look at the construction industry, because buildings, like I said, uses a lot of resources, and if the activities are not checked, we're definitely going to lose out.
Right. Thank you so much. I think time is up now. Thank you so much. And the show is brought to you in partnership with Lipton. Lipton is the #1 tea brand in the world. I've been speaking with the director of the Institute of Environmental and Sanitation Studies at the University of Ghana, Professor Chris Gordon, and then also Mr. Foster Osei Akonor. He's the CEO of the Ghana Green Building Council. Thank you so much for making it to our studios today. It's still the Breakfast Show. Do stay with us. We'll be back with more.